I'm Kevin Owaki. I am one of the founders of Gitcoin, and I am here to talk to you today about on-chain capital allocation. Sounds like a mouthful, but what we're actually talking about here is the act of deciding how to distribute funding or resources for impact or financial gain or whatever you want to do, and doing it on-chain, so leveraging the principles of a blockchain. I have a 10-minute talk here that's designed to break down into three-minute segments. So if I do this right, we will have 1 minute left for Q&A. And I'm going to start with who am I and why am I qualified to talk to you today about on-chain capital allocation. I'm the founder of Gitcoin. Over the last 7 years and 21 quarterly rounds, Gitcoin has supported the funding of public goods and enabled communities to fund what matters to them. We've done 5 million unique donations and $65 million towards mostly Ethereum public goods, but also starting to mess around with bioregional finance, climate work, health work, stuff like that. And the way that we do that is through Gitcoin grants. Vitalik in 2020 called Gitcoin grants a significant pillar of the Ethereum ecosystem because more and more projects are relying on it for some or all support. And we are now taking what worked for Ethereum and what worked for Vitalik and making it available to any ecosystem that is based off of the Ethereum virtual machine, helping them grow their ecosystem through public goods funding, on-chain capital allocation, and grants campaigns that help them fund what matters. So that's why I think that I'm qualified to be talking to you today about on-chain capital allocation. So let's actually talk about the design space of capital allocation. Capital allocation is kind of wordy and a little bit cerebral way of just saying anytime you spend money, you're figuring out where you want to spend those resources. From everyday tasks like buying a coffee or paying bills or paying your friends back for a meal, you're allocating capital. But at scale, capital allocation becomes a full-time job for many people working together. Think about regional government funding. Think about Filecoin's dev ecosystem. These are multiplayer capital allocation games that are existential to the growth and the health of diverse political economies, whether those are IRL economies or on-chain economies. Okay, so that's the design space that we're talking about with capital allocation. How do you spend money in order to maximize gains? I think that on-chain primitives are going to allow us to do much more powerful capital allocation than has ever been possible before. Legacy capital allocation suffers from gatekeeping. The people who are allocating capital in traditional city governments they become power brokers to those ecosystems. They're not able to allocate capital precisely or at scale, resulting in long, frustrating bureaucratic requirements for grantees that can be easily gained and not enough access to capital. And I think that on-chain capital allocation is going to change the game. We have transparent, global, programmable, and incorruptible ledgers that we can program capital allocation games into in the future. And I think that on-chain capital allocation can be extremely accessible because it's available wherever you have the internet. It's transparent because it's open source on blockchains. It's democratic if you program it to be that way. It can incorporate the voices of hundreds, thousands, or even millions of people. And because of that, it can precisely allocate capital to fund what matters in your ecosystem at scale. And so I think that these properties of blockchains, when we extend them into capital allocation experiments, is going to create an extremely rich and fruitful design environment for us to create collective action in the 21st century. We're building a new financial system in the Ethereum and Web3 space. Through the coordinated action of stakers, users of Ethereum are able to deploy smart contracts. And through that, we have seen the rise of tokenization of assets in the 2017 boom and the cycles that have come after it. But I want you to see what we're building on top of that infrastructure. We are building for 21st century internet native human coordination. We can solve coordination failures from things that are existential to our planet, like biodiversity collapse or climate change or nuclear proliferation. And we can solve for things that meet our business needs, things like Filecoin's ecosystems growth. And I think that the way that we do that is by funding what matters, by allocating capital to the things that matter in these ecosystems. So that's what I see when I see that infrastructure. Today, we're going to be talking about different mechanisms that can help the Filecoin ecosystem achieve its goals. Gitcoin has historically been using a mechanism called quadratic funding, which I'm really proud of and I think has done a lot of good in the world. But there's other mechanisms that are really great out there as well. Retroactive funding obviously has been popularized by Vitalik and the Optimism ecosystem. Protocol Guild, mad respect to Trent and Tim for funding the Ethereum Commons with guilds. Conviction voting, a new mechanism that we're working on in the OneHive ecosystem. And I know that there's also people that are doing great work in the world of prediction markets and futarchy. If you don't know what these mechanisms are, then don't worry. We're going to get into what they mean and why they're powerful today. And we're going to provide resources to you in order to see why these capital allocation schemes are so powerful and how they can be used to meet your goals in the Filecoin ecosystem. And in order to facilitate that, myself and some other people in the Gitcoin and Greenpill ecosystem have released a book called the Onchain Capital Allocation Handbook, Explorers Edition. This is meant to be an approachable guide to funding what matters in the 21st century. It takes you through 20 different capital allocation schemes that we think could be powerful, and we want to help you understand this design space. There's going to be a formal book launch tomorrow at Funding the Commons, but we actually have preview editions of the book available on your desk, so feel free to grab one and page through it as you're going about your business today, or just take it with you and let me know what you think. There's a Telegram group QR code in the book, and would love to hear from you and see what you think of the book. All right, TLDR, we can fund what matters in the 21st century using on-chain primitives. I'm Kevin Iwaki from Gitcoin. I will see you around the event today. Thank you so much.